What's going on, everybody? Welcome to, as you can see, I'm wearing red, and my shirt says Monday Night Raw. So, there you go. Beep. Monday Night Raw review. This will be the Monday Night Raw following SummerSlam. So, let's see if the show warrants the after SummerSlam crowd. Which, for the most part, it kind of did. But they kicked off with Cody Rhodes, who came out and talked about his victory over Brock Lesnar and what it meant, what Brock Lesnar did at the end of their match. They even talked about how his mother even tried to bring it to his attention that, you dummy, Brock Lesnar acknowledged you. So, in turn, he said that with that feeling of accomplishment, to being able to not only survive Brock Lesnar, but get victories over Brock Lesnar and earning Brock Lesnar's acknowledgement, he felt like he could beat anyone. This would break out Seth Rollins, who we reminded Cody Rhodes that when he came out before a couple of weeks earlier and asked who was ready to step up and face him for the World Heavyweight Championship, Cody Rhodes came out and like he was going to challenge him, if not for Brock Lesnar. So he wanted to be the first to repay him that courtesy by coming out to get back in his face, saying that now since Cody said that he felt like he could beat anybody in the world, he wanted to put that to the test. And Cody was like, okay. And as the crowd, sings his song or whatnot, he goes like this to flaunt the World Heavyweight Championship. And thus, it seemed like that's where we're going. But then we got another interruption, this time by the Judgment Day. Minus Finn Balor. It was just the Judgment Day of Damian Priest, Rhea Ripley, and Dominic Mysterio, who came out to remind Seth Rollins and Cody Rhodes that they got things twisted, that they are not the ones who run Monday Night Raw. It's not Monday Night Rollins. Judgment Day run everything, and more specifically, Senior Money in the Bank. And this would bring out Finn Balor, who would attack Cody, not Cody Rhodes, but Seth Rollins, and thus Damian Priest and Rhea Ripley and Dominic would jump Cody Rhodes. I think there was some dialogue between. Well, Dominic tried to say something to Cody. He did get up in Cody's face because Damian Priest. I had jumped the gun here, that's why I'm jumping back. Said something about Cody. Cody might be done with the Beast, but Dirty Dom is not done with Cody. Dominic got in Cody Rhodes' face, and then basically tried to say something on the mic, but then of course the crowd ate him up. That's when Finn Balor attacked Seth Rollins, and then a brawl would break out between the two, but then out comes Sami Zayn to even up the odds and help Finn off Judgment Day, to which Cody Rhodes basically said, I got a solution to this. It's 3 of you and 3 of us. Let's do it in a tag match later on tonight. And thus, it seems Seth took an exception to that. Because, as we will hear later on, which I will get to more in a moment, he doesn't trust Cody Rhodes. But as the two argue about what Cody just said, Sami tried to be peacekeeper and try to get them on the same page. More on that later. And then we get the first match of the night, which was basically set up earlier in the day, where Ricochet basically went to Adam Pearce's office to complain about his loss to Logan Paul at SummerSlam, and that Adam Pearce going to do about it. He said he's seen it, but unfortunately the referee's decision is final. But he got something worked up for him. Chad Gable, Matt Riddle, and Tommaso Ciampa. They're going to be in a fatal 4-way for the #1 contendership to Gunther's in the Continental Championship. And thus, that's what the first match we got, which was that fatal 4-way. And which it was a fun little fatal 4-way. Tommaso Ciampa and them did their thing. Chad Gable shined the most, especially since he was the hometown hero. Which I did not know that. I didn't know that both Brock Lesnar and Chad Gable are from the same hometown. Because that's what the home. I forgot what it was, but the hometown of Monday Night Raw was of Brock Lesnar's. They was at Brock Lesnar's whole time. But I digress. The match was good. I enjoyed it. Little fun match, especially the end where Chad Gable kept trying to hit multiple Chaos Theory suplexes on everybody, but somebody always countered it. I think it was like he tried. I think he tried to hit it on Matt Riddle, but Matt Riddle would get countered by Ricochet, but then he tried to hit on Ricochet, but Tommaso Ciampa would counter it, and then lastly he would hit it on Tommaso Ciampa to get the victory, naming Chad Gable the number one contender to Gunther's Intercontinental Champion, thus being the winner of the match. But there's more on that. Let's see, what blah blah blah. Oh. It was a backstage with Ludwig. Later on, there was a backstage segment with Ludwig Kaiser, who basically was taunting and flirting with Maxine Dupree about her being with Imperium, saying that she could be a better wrestler if she joins Imperium, which she took exception to, as she started talking about how basically worthless Chad Gable and how monstrous looking Otis is. This will bring out Otis, who challenged Ludwig Kaiser to a match later on tonight. We will get the second match of the night, which is Shinsuke Nakamura versus Bronson Reed. Fun little match with some good moves here and there. But Shinsuke Nakamura get the victory to set up the end, I guess, of his feud with Bronson Reed and the beginning of something new. More on that later. Becky Lynch came out to cut a promo. That's when we got the Ludwig Kaiser. We got when she made her entrance, went to commercial break. Then we got the Ludwig Kaiser and Otis and Maxine Dupree thing. And then we got to this. Becky Lynch basically came out and talked about how hard that she's basically can't wait to get to the end of this guy. She's been fighting and clawing to get to the end of this rivalry with Trish Stratus, and that it will come to an end next week. But then we got an interruption by Zoe Stark, who I think Becky was talking about in her promo. I think she said something about how it was going to be the end because it was going to be no Zoe Stark, no this and that. But Zoe Stark would come out and call Becky a coward and afraid that she went and got these stipulations where she's banned from ringside and that she's afraid of Zoe Stark. But Becky responded by saying she's not afraid of Zoe, but Zoe might be too good for her own good because she knows the potential that Zoe has, but Zoe doesn't realize it, and she coming out here. She already been in the ring with her, but then they would get interrupted by Shayna Baszler, who basically came out and said that because I think Zoe said about being the best in the world, the most dangerous woman in the world, and she said she got Zoe Stark face said, I heard you said something about being. You had something that sounded like you was referring to me, and then she got up in her face and said, now, who's the baddest woman in the world now? And she said, Zoe responded by saying, you look like the baddest punching bag in the world, but you want to get in my face and want to step up. She said she was going to basically put her down, to which Becky said this was probably a good match to have, and asked Adam Pearce to come out to make the match official, to which he did. And thus, that's the next match we get. We get Shayna Baszler versus Zoe Stark, and that was a fun little match between the two. No real stakes here, just a fun women's showcase with Shayna Baszler getting the victory, but more on that later because Shayna Baszler's night, along with Becky's night, wasn't done so quite yet. We get Judgment Day, who basically had a backstage promo where Finn Balor was seen backstage talking to JD McDonough, and he was interrupted by Damian Priest, who basically said we need to talk privately about Judgment Day business as he went to JD McDonough. And fans said, you know what? I know JD a long time. Whatever you can say, whatever you got to say to me, you can say in front of him. And he said, okay, that's your problem. But what is your problem? Like, first, you don't come out with us when we come out to the ring, and then you just come out of nowhere and attack Seth Rollins. Like, he said, well, maybe because I felt like just not sticking to the plan since you didn't stick to the plan Sunday, and basically blame Damian Priest, saying that his Money in the Bank briefcase is getting in between. And JD McDonough shared that same sentiments. But Rhea Ripley was told to get them on the same page, tell them to grow up and act like men, not children. To which it seemed like they're on the same page. But then JD, it was funny because I like this. This was like the best part of it. JD came back and said, you know what? I might be out of line here. It might not be my place to say, but I in my opinion, that Money in the Bank briefcase is getting between you and Finn Balor. And I think you should get rid of it. And then he walks away. And Damian's reaction was like, Who did this mother? He said, and he had to stop himself because he said that's what he literally said. You could go check the episode out. He said, "Who this mother?" He was about to say it, but yeah, Rhea was stopping him. He was like, "Was he talking?" Then he just, Rhea tried to calm him down. He was like, "No, who you talking to? Running his mouth. Who are you talking to? All that type of stuff." And then, but she tried to let him go. He's not Judgment Day. Let it go. But like I said, Shinsuke Nakamura's night is not done here. We get the next match, which is Otis versus Ludwig Kaiser, which was a fun, good match between the two, and I love the little drama here in which he kept, like, once he got like a moment, Ludwig would go taunt Maxine. I forgot to mention too that when Otis challenged Ludwig, it was because Maxine like smacked him. And then when he went to go say something back to Maxine again, it was Otis. And Otis basically challenged him to a match. But so in this match, you would play off that. It would taunt Maxine, was like, but no, hit me again. Because they basically played, he loves feisty women. And but this was also the plan of Gunther. As you will see later on in this match, where basically at one point Otis had the upper hand and Giovanni would come out and get involved, but Otis would handle that. But Gunther, while the referee was distracted with Ludwig, Gunther would come out and big boot Otis, and then Ludwig would hit his finisher, thus pinning Otis, and then they would start jumping Otis until Chad Gable came out for the save, running everybody else. Technically, they could have just jumped Chad Gable, but Gunther was like, all right, everybody just clear the ring, and then he just walked in like, what, like he was smiling like he like, what, you nothing to me. I just did that to mess with you. You're nothing. I like Gunther's attitude towards Chad. It's going to be a good rivalry. If they play their cards right, they could actually make a good rivalry out of this. Shinsuke Nakamura was having a backstage interview, but it was with Byron Saxton, but it was interrupted when we heard a commotion. And this commotion was JD McDonough. This was not long after his interaction with both Finn Balor and whatchamacallit in the Judgment Day. I just forgot his name already. Damian Priest. JD McDonough, who was looked like he's trying to earn brownie points with Judgment Day, attacked Sami Zayn and thus injured Sami Zayn. But from what I'm heard from the insiders report and stuff, as you saw on Sami Zayn's elbow, his elbow had the John Cena elbow injury, and this was just done so that they use his injury as they said. Now he's actually on the injured list, along with Roman Reigns. Now apparently he's on the injured list. Like, wow, people are getting injured. But this is interesting for the fact that both Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn are injured. Their injuries are not expected to be long term, but we don't know how long, because it took John Cena a minute to get that and come to get that fixed. So he wrestled injured. I remember when he had that. But yeah, that we would have a more update on that later. The Miz came out cut a promo because earlier he felt to have a photo shoot, but he was upset that he had to wait until they was done with L.A. Knight. And L.A. Knight, he basically got mad because he said L.A. Knight he wins one battle royal and I gotta wait. He said you can forget your photo shoot and walk away. Then he came out to cut a promo on L.A. Knight and said that he was upset about how people treats LA Knight. He's just a flavor of the month. He's just, this and that and that. He's nobody. But this will bring out LA Knight, who was telling him not to make it personal, and that he has no problem with The Miz, but The Miz says it's personal because he's been doing everything, working hard to make a name for himself, despite the fact that people say he was going to be fired within the months that he got there, which is a real story. That's why I like when The Miz uses that, because that's actually real. We all know that when The Miz basically first came to the WWE, it was backstage rumors and news was always that he was supposed to be fired, and that within the next couple of months that people didn't like him. He was kicked out of locker rooms. But Miz became one of the biggest stars in WWE. But he was explaining that to LA Knight, saying that that's what he's been doing for the last 20 years, what he has done the last 20 years. LA Knight said, "Okay, you want to make it personal?" And so the last 20 years, he became the baddest guy that people don't want to take a chance on, because they know he's not going to be the person to let people push around. And said that was him who people was talking about they was going to fire within 3 months or kicking him out of the locker room. They knew LA Knight wasn't going to take that. Nah. But he said that's why they did that to him, because he's soft and he's the safe choice, and that's why they knew that's why they did that too, because they knew he would just take it while he wouldn't, and that if that the Miz got a problem, they could solve it right then and there. To which Miz and them took off their glasses and coat, and Miz tried to get a cheap shot at LA Knight and then hit the Storm Crushing finale, but then LA Knight reversed it into his move. I forgot what they call it, but he hit his finisher to send the Miz packing. Will we get an update on Sami Zayn, which of course it was going to come out that he couldn't compete because of his injury, which like I said, they was using. But Shinsuke Nakamura would step up to say that he would go on to he would take Sami Zayn's place in a 6-man tag match tonight, which Seth Rollins accepted. At first it was Cody Rhodes. I meant to say this too. There was Cody Rhodes and Seth Rollins who came out the trainer's locker room, and both of them were trying to answer the question at the same time. But Seth would look at Cody, and Cody was just like, you know what? It's fine. You do the interview. I see you out there in the ring. And he just stood there looking at Cody like. Anyway, then he explained that Sami Zayn would be able to compete. That's when Shinsuke Nakamura popped up and does offer his assistance. And Seth Rollins would say, I've known you for a long time, had the utmost respect for you. So yeah, let's do it, baby. But this might come back to bite Seth Rollins. We'll get the Viking Raiders, who basically had an open challenge to any tag team that wanted to step up. This will bring out the returning New Day and the returning Kofi Kingston. Still no Big E yet, but Kofi Kingston did make his return from, I think he had like an ankle injury, and but they came out and had a good match with the Viking Raiders and beating the Viking Raiders. It's not looking good for the Viking Raiders. They had all this potential, but then they lose more matches than they win now. So like I don't know what you're doing with them, but how many times they gotta keep having you get them these leverage promos, but they keep losing. And then we got the main event, which is Judgment Day versus Seth Rollins, Cody Rhodes, and Shinsuke Nakamura, which was a fun main event worthy match. It had everything, the bells and whistles that you would think of the main event, especially the dissension between Judgment Day and whatnot. But that quickly went away as you saw Damian Priest and Finn Balor on the same page. They worked together. Everybody worked together as a team, and yeah, it was a good match. Judgment Day, they would team up where the downfall of Judgment Day, I meant to say, is when after Finn Balor grabbed the Money in the Bank briefcase and the referee was distracted, he turned around to see both Cody and the referee was distracted because Sami Zayn made his presence felt and beat up on Damian Priest, sending him and basically taking him out in the match. And Dom was already taken out earlier, and as he saw that he has his opportunity, he turned around, but to notice that both Seth and Cody was looking at him. Seth with super kick the briefcase into Finn Balor, and then tossed the and made sure the briefcase was out of the ring. And Cody Rhodes would hit the crossroads on Finn Balor for the 1-2-3 victory. It seemed although it seemed like Cody Rhodes and Seth Rollins are on the same page for now. For this one night, they was on the same page and they both got on the turnbuckles ways for victory. But when Seth Rollins got off the turnbuckle to turn around to celebrate with when Shinsuke and Sami, while Cody Rhodes was still on the ropes, celebrating himself, Shinsuke Nakamura would hit a Kinshasa on Seth Rollins and then just leave the ring, while Cody Rhodes and Sami Zayn are left shocked and not knowing what to do that Shinsuke Nakamura just did that to Seth Rollins, and thus the show go off the air. This was a good Monday Night Raw. I know I haven't been doing Monday Night Raw reviews in a long time. I've been busy, but I finally got to check out this past Monday Night Raw. I've been checking them out. I just haven't been time to do videos for them. But this was a good Monday Night Raw. I enjoyed it, and I'm gonna give it a 7 out of 10 big ups because it was for the most part enjoyable. It was some stuff here and there. Oh, I forgot too. There was a brawl right before the main event started. Once Judgment Day made their entrance, and there was a brawl between Rhea and Raquel Rodriguez. I forgot to mention that Raquel Rodriguez had a promo earlier to basically which she wasn't clear, being told that she is almost there, but she's still not medically cleared. This pissed her off, and we saw a presence of Candice LeRae and Indy Hartwell, and they made their presence felt during that match because she would attack Rhea and Indy Hartwell and Candice LeRae, and along with officials try to break it up, but Rhea would attack both Indy Hartwell and Candice LeRae, thus causing all three women to attack Rhea. That was before the match even started. But yeah, 7 out of 10. But you let me know in the comments down below what you thought, and if you enjoyed my reaction and my review, you hit this button right here for all of my WWE reviews. And if you enjoyed the review so much you want to support the channel, you know what to do, guys. Hit those buttons. And while I say hit those buttons, I usually say it because I don't like to tell you every time, but please like, subscribe, share, hit the notification button, do all those great things, but especially share and subscribe. And hitting on these videos for more of my amazing content, but don't go anywhere because I got some reactions for you guys. Peace.